Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We are in episode 3 talking about the new concept, diet autoregulation. At least it's going to be new in terms of how we define it and put some boundaries on it. So I think a lot of people have experienced these steps in the past. And the next one that we talk about, Adam, is probably going to be one of the most easy to understand. It's just macros. You get this question all the time, I'm sure. Hey, I was over 10 grams of carbs. What should I do? Can I cut out 5 grams of fat or 10 grams of protein? Like, how far do I have in between these boundaries that you set up for macros? And for some people, I even start out with some ranges, sometimes pretty narrow, sometimes a little bit wider as I'm getting a feel for somebody's metabolic capacity, Adam. But if somebody says to you, a coach, for example, you need 200 grams of carbs, does that mean 201 is too many? 195 is going to destroy, your metabolism? What is the boundary there? And so I'd like your input first, and then I'll kind of talk about what I do.
Yeah, with protein and carbs, I do look for a little bit broader range there. Now, when they're in prep, I do like a range of +10, -10. But if we're looking into non-competitors, I might go +20, -20. But the calories per gram of protein is equal per carb. So that's the easiest one to shift. If you're up 10 grams of protein, you can go down 10 grams of carbs. That will be just fine. Fat is where it gets tricky when you're losing body fat, because we just know the potential for fat storage is much greater than it would be with carbs or protein. So even though I do auto-regulate with fat, I might have a client who's having a troubled digestive system. So in that situation, I might refeed with carbs and fat and actually pull protein down to make up for those fat grams that I gave them. And that has been something that's been really significant in changing a lot of my clients with digestive issues, is just starting with that macro ratio and of course food source. But that ratio is really, really nice to flip that when you have someone with digestive issues, because fats really can help speed up digestion to some degree.
One of the things I look at too is sometimes this just gives me an indication that we need to make some changes. If somebody's always 20, 25 grams lower on protein, we may need to say, let's move that goalpost, or let's reformulate your meal plan. Let's try and find an easier source to get in there. But I also know that some people just have different days, different schedules. Life happens. And so what I like to see is if somebody, for example, is even 20 or 15 grams high or low, and they didn't have the opportunity to make up for it within that day, let's look at the week as a total metric. And so if we wanted to average, let's say 175 grams of protein a day, and you're at 180 one day, 160 the next day, 185 the next day, let's obviously try and narrow that range a little bit. But at the end of the week, that's still a good metric we can look at comparing week to week to week. So that's another place where I think a lot of people can responsibly auto-regulate. They can say, look, that's just how I was hungry or not hungry this day. My training, my schedule, things, are just not the same each day. And that's okay. I mean, I do, as long as we're seeing the progress, sometimes you just don't have to look at a single day as the only unit of measurement.
Yeah, I had a client who was over 30 grams of fat one day. So we just pulled back 5. She did accidentally, her app had something wrong in it. She was eating more fat than she realized, and she felt really bad about it. I was like, well, let's just take 5 grams away for the next 6 days, and you'll be fine.
And this is why it complements training so well, because as we talk about total work in training, that's often the case. And we're going to even talk about training later in this series. But I mean, absolutely. If we wanted this many grams of carbs or protein for the entire week, that's another way just to test the plan a little bit and realize that even if you have some deviations, it's not going to kill your progress. Again, there are principled reasons why you want a certain amount of protein per day, and you don't want 600 grams one day and then none for the next 2 days. But we're not talking about those extremes. We're talking about giving you the flexibility and the autonomy to just navigate life and realize that it's really not going to impact your overall progress. So you guys stay tuned. We got several more episodes at least in this series, because we want to really dig into defining how this can help you with greater flexibility still achieve all your goals.